będzie. Dziękuję Ci.
Dobra.
Tylko gości na początek jakby
Nie przyszło.
Słuchajcie, chłopaki, praktycznie zaraz potrzebuje pani dyrektor, jak powie, że oficjalnie otwiera konferencję.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin the conference, but before we do so, could you please mute your mobile phones, put them on silent or switch them off. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final conference of the 26th Junior Eco-Expert project. My name is Anna, and together with my colleague Agnieszka, we have the absolute pleasure of guiding you through today's program.
Yes, after 4 days of fieldwork, research, and probably not enough sleep, we finally arrived at the moment where our young scientists get to show us what they've discovered. And trust me, some of these findings will make you rethink your relationship with nature, and possibly with plastic bottles.
But before we dive into science, we want to extend a warm welcome to all our international guests. This project wouldn't be the same without the collaboration of 5 countries and the incredible students and teachers who traveled here to make it happen.
So, let us greet you in your own languages, and please forgive our pronunciation. We've been practicing, but ecology is definitely easier than linguistics.
Üdvözöljük Önöket! Örülünk, hogy itt vannak velünk. To our Hungarian friends, a very warm welcome.
Witajcie, sme veľmi rádi, že ste tady s nami. Welcome to our Czech friends. We're so glad you're here with us.
Herzlich willkommen, wir freuen uns sehr, Sie hier bei uns zu haben. To our Austrian friends, a very warm welcome.
Witajcie, sme veľmi rádi, že ste tu s nami. And to our Slovak partners, welcome. We're delighted you're here.
And of course, to our wonderful Polish students, teachers, and guests. Witamy Was serdecznie. This is your home turf, so feel free to cheer extra loud.
Now we would like to extend our warmest greetings to some very special guests. First, to the school principals who have traveled from Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Austria. Thank you for believing in this project and for trusting your students with the future of our planet, and also with early morning wake-up calls for fieldwork.
We also welcome our local authorities and distinguished sponsors whose support has made this entire project possible. Without you, we would just be a group of enthusiastic people talking about ecosystems in a parking lot.
And most importantly, we welcome you, the 26th generation of Junior Eco-Experts. Over the past 4 days, you've hiked, measured, collected, analyzed, debated, and probably complained about the weather at least once. But here you are, ready to share your work with the world.
You earned this moment, so let's make it memorable.
And now, to officially open this conference, please welcome the principal of Zespole Szkół imienia Władysława Szybińskiego w Cieszynie, Mrs. Iwona Bobek.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to our school during the 26th Junior Eco-Expert project, a project that is very special for our school community. We are very happy to have you here, and we warmly welcome you to join us in today's discussions and celebrations. This year's edition is even more special for us for several reasons. First of all, it takes place during the jubilee year of our school, as we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of our school. Secondly, this is the 20th time we have participated in the project as a partner and co-creator. And thirdly, for the 5th time, we have the honor of being the host of the Junior Eco-Project in Cieszynie. So we definitely have more than one reason to celebrate. But the most important one is the fact that young people and teachers from different countries are united by care for the environment, cooperation, and mutual inspiration. This year's research topic, natural resources and risk, used with care, preserved to share, was explored in 5 international groups. In a moment, the students themselves will tell us more about their work, experiences, and the results of their research. Unfortunately, many people still do not realize how strongly human activity affects the environment and how dangerous careless interference with nature can be. That is why it is our role as teachers to make young people aware that the earth does not belong to us, that we did not receive it as a gift only for ourselves, and that we should take care of it because it must serve future generations as well. Thanks to the Eco-Project, we can at least partly fulfill this important mission and show young people how to protect nature through everyday choices and actions. Of course, environmental education is the main priority of the Eco-Project, but in my opinion, and I'm sure you will agree with me, we also achieve many other important goals. It is well known that nothing brings people together more than working together. Through cooperation, but also through spending time together and having fun, students can learn about different cultures, traditions, and customs. They also break down stereotypes that sometimes exist between nations and generations. I hope that for many years to come, we continue creating the Junior Eco-Project together and doing something good for our Mother Earth. Because it is the small actions, repeated every day by many people, that truly change the world. Finally, I would like to thank all the people and institutions that supported our project. Thank you for every form of help, kindness and openness. Thanks to your support, we were able to carry out all the planned activities. And to you, dear students, I wish successful presentations and performances. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for those inspiring words, Principal Bebek. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, or maybe dreading if you were one of the presenters.
But don't worry, we've seen your rehearsals and you're going to be fantastic. And remember, the only wrong answer in college is, I didn't bring my data.
Over the past 2 days, our 5 international workshop groups have been conducting field research on various ecological topics. They've analyzed ecosystems, collected samples, crunched numbers, and occasionally argued about the correct way to label a test tube.
And now they're ready to share their findings with all of us. Each group will have approximately 10 minutes to present their research. So grab your notebooks or adjust your attention spans and let's learn something.
Let's start with our first group. These intrepid researchers focused on cultivated and wild plants and their impact on biodiversity. They've spent the last 2 days knee-deep in data and possibly in actual vegetation.
Please give a warm round of applause as we invite Workshop Group 1 to the stage. Good afternoon, respected directors, teachers,
Press that
and
button
guests.
and we will go to next.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today. We are pleased to present our presentation about cultivated and wild plants, their importance for biodiversity. So, we visited a traditional orchard and we saw some methods that they use. For instance, grafting is a method of joining parts of two plants so they grow together as one plant, combining the strengths of both. In the traditional orchard, they grow bushes in between the trees so they could grow better and healthier. And also, they do not use any chemicals, fertilizers, and any toxins. We saw some species there, for instance, sweet and sour cherry, pears, plums, different kinds of apples, and gooseberries. And as you can see, there are pictures from the traditional orchard and the modern orchard.
Yes. So now let's talk about the differences between the orchards. So in the modern orchard, the farmers use modern tools, fertilizers, and different pesticides to help the plants grow bigger and healthier. In the result of these processes, modern orchards grow the same fruits as the traditional ones, but even in bigger amounts. The average modern orchard produces around 5 times more crops than the traditional one. In the modern orchard, they produce so much crops that they can sell it and cover all the expenses from the orchard.
Now let's move on to the second part of the presentation, where we will talk about different types of gardens that we have seen in Kates gardens. They feature different designs and many different styles, and we are happy to show you them.
Okay, let's talk about the types we visited. As you can see on the left right corner, you can see the Japanese garden, which has a characteristic of water elements and stones. The water elements can be seen as pools or maybe even waterfalls, and it's the most hyped from all of these. The second one is the English garden. It's more of a romantic and chill-like garden. It's more wavy and relaxed, not as the Scandinavian one. The Scandinavian one, it's really geometric and ordinated, and it's kind of minimalistic, like the new gardens, and it's my favorite so far.
The slide shows gardens in different seasons. In spring, we can see flowers like tulips and daffodils. In summer, there are many colorful flowers. In autumn,
the leaves change color. In winter, some plants stay green and there can be snow. The pictures show different gardens during the year.
On the second day, all was about plants in their natural habitat. We visited a company specialized on farming stepno spruce and protecting the seeds in a seed bank. The stepno spruce is slowly growing, that is why it doesn't make a lot of money in farming, but it has many environmental benefits. It is also older and bigger than other spruces.
But these spruces does not only have advantages, there are also some big problems with it. One huge is the climate change. Because they have not very long roots, they have problems during very warm periods to get to the water and the nutrition they need. And in our forests, they are mostly in monocultures. That is why pests multiply themselves faster. One very popular one is the bark beetle. And also the wrong placement is a big problem. Normally, stepno spruces live in a sea level from 590 to 620. And here we have 300 to 350, so they struggle a bit. Connected to this farm, we also visited a seed bank. Here seeds get stored for a very long time. They are held in very cold and dry conditions, so they don't grow roots.
But how does a seed bank actually work? So the seeds of the plant are collected and get cleaned and dried. Then they are stored in cold temperatures, so when needed, the seeds can be taken out and grow again. This is important to protect plant diversity, save rare plants, and to help farmers after disasters. For example, the company we visited uses seed banks to grow new forests so that rare species doesn't die out. And here is a picture of the farm we visited, where you can see 2-year-old stepno spruces.
And the last part, Don Lake.
Lake is in Gaulish. The name Ton comes from the German word related to clay, reflecting the history of the lake. It's rare because the emerald colored water. It gets the color from mixing with the calcium from the old drawned mines. During the Second War, the mines were used for forced labor and a narrow gauge railway once ran through the area. Today, the lake is a popular place for relaxation, nature walks and fishing.
Around the lake, we found various types of flowers. As you can see, we found water lily, iris siberian, birdwedge, yellow mallet, and goose warbler. The most common trees we found in this area were man ash, common beech, Norway spruce, and European larch, and Scots pine.
Biodiversity is a positive sign of healthy existence and prevents the spruce from dying of its disease. Thank you for your attention.
Excellent work. Group 1, you've set the bar high, and which is either inspiring or terrifying for the next group.
I hope no. Okay, so our second group tackled the topic of the journey from source to organism, exploring the secrets of mineral water. They've been investigating how water travels and transforms before reaching living organisms.
Please welcome Workshop Group 2 to the stage.
A, ty dobra. Ty tylko przełączasz, wiesz? I ty musisz go leci następnie, jak być za daleko, to tu cofasz, nie? I tyle.
Hello everyone, we are Group 2 and we are going to tell you something about water and brine, their healing treasures and their use.
Institute in Ustron. First, we visit the Health Institute in Ustron. The institute offers many treatments that help people improve their health.
For example, brine. The brine is salt water rich in calcium, potassium, magnesium, iodine, and bromine. The concentration of brine in the pool is 3 to 5%. It helps the whole body and is good to inhale.
Another treatment is the cryo chamber. It's a chamber where the temperature is about minus 120 degrees Celsius. After one session lasts 2 to 3 minutes, and after the session, the patients do a cardio workout to warm their body.
Visitors can use workouts for seniors. It can be individual or a group workout. In the institute, there are available psychologists and speech therapists. There is also modern physiotherapy where robots, games and virtual reality are used. Clients can do yoga and enjoy massages.
Very popular are peat baths. During slow overheating, the body cleans itself and absorbs minerals. For the bath, they mix peat mud with water.
We also visit a pump room in Ustron, which is a modern class building where visitors can drink natural mineral water from a local spring. The water is a bicarbonate calcium mineral water, and it's slightly acidic, pH of 6.6. It supports our digestion and our health. Next to the pump room, there's a graduation tower where brine water is sprayed into the air. More from Alina.
We visited 2 graduation towers in Ustron. The first one is, as already said, located directly next to the mineral water pump. It is the small structure you can see on our presentation, and it mainly works as a fountain. This fountain sprays small particles of brine into the air, creating a special microclimate. The second one we visited is a little bit larger. Here the brine flows through black thorn branches. As the water evaporates, it releases small particles of minerals and aroma from the black thorn branches. This creates a similar atmosphere to the seaside. So all in one, you can say gradation towers release minerals and aromas into the air, creating climate conditions that can be used for treatment of different lung diseases.
Next we visited water cleaning treatment, and the water is cleaned using mechanical treatment. This method involved removing mechanical contaminants from water, such as sand, stones, or leaves. Biological treatment. This method involves the use of microorganisms to break down organic contaminants in water, and chemical treatment, and it isn't usually needed.
We also visited the water cleaning company in Ustron. They provide fresh water for the whole Cieszynie district, and the water flowing through the pipes is clean enough to drink straight from the sink. Even though the pipes are as old as 132 years old.
On our second day, we visited the brewery and got some information about its history. We learned that it was built 180 years ago by the Habsburg dynasty. An interesting fact about it, that on its living, it has never ever had a fire or burned down.
We learned interesting things about brewing that we didn't know before. For example, the factory uses the same water that people drink in Cieszynie. Making beer is a long and time-consuming process, and we could see it for ourselves.
The beer, top on the bottom picture, is still in use. In the past, they controlled the temperature from experience without the thermometer.
We had an excellent tourist guide who showed us around the brewery and shared a lot of information with us.
Water is one of the most important substances on Earth. Every living organism needs water to survive, making it essential for all living forms of life. The human body contains of about 70% of water, which shows how important it is for our health and body functions. Water also covers around 71% of the Earth's surface, which is why our planet is often called the blue planet. In addition, water plays a crucial role in regulating the climate by storing and transporting heat around the globe. Scientists also believe that life on Earth began in water billions of years ago. For all these reasons, water is not only vital for humans, animals, and plants, but also for the entire planet.
many purposes. Most importantly, it's essential for our bodies, also for our agriculture and biological needs, and also everyday household use. We collected samples from various places, as you can see, and in the samples we measured things like the smell, color, etc., etc. We came to the conclusion that pollution of the water is mostly contaminated by nitrogen ions and phosphate ions. In the samples, the Brunzówka water is the most contaminated one, and even through that, it is still safe to drink and consume by humans. The highest concentration of chloride was found in the brine sample, and also the level of minerals was detected there, the highest as well. Thank you for your attention.
Fantastic presentation. I think we all learned something here.
Our third group explored the correlation between bathymetric studies and water transparency. These are the people who can look at the body of water and understand its hidden depths and clarity.
Let's hear it for workshop group 3.
Okay, hello, welcome. Our group will present our presentation about bathymetry of the Murawa Lake in Katowice.
Group D of the 26th Junior Eco-Projektu went to Katowice, Murawa Lake, to exterminate the lake's depth and salinity.
We use two different methods to measure the water's depth, and the main question is there any main question is there any significant difference between the two methods?
Now we will show you specifically which methods and materials we used in order to get our results. So we had two methods, manual and automatic. For the manual, we used canoes as a transport, and for measuring, we had eco-zoomers. For the results that were taken automatically, we used the multi-rod and the eco-multi-parameter sonde.
The first method was the canoe, and in order to drive the
canoe, we needed life jacket and paddles. We were split in a group of 3 and we needed to drive near the shore because that was the spot where the motorboat couldn't get.
So I will explain the eco-sonar. For the eco-sonar, we needed to put this part of the device 10 centimeters into the water, wait it a little bit until the value is consistent, and write it down into a chart sheet, which we had with us. The values were the depth, and for coordination, we wrote the north and the east.
Now to the motorboat. In order to drive the motorboat, we also needed life jackets, and we drove into the middle of the lake, and there was a little screen on the motorboat so we could read the depth, and that was automatically written down.
On the motorboat, we had an EXO multi-parameter probe with us, and when the motorboat stopped, we put the probe in the water until around 10 seconds and waited until the results were consistent. And the probe automatically recorded following values. It recorded the conductivity of the water, the pH value, and the salinity.
Okay, we talked about the methods, let's now talk about the results. And we took all our samples and measurements and put them into a program called R, which is a program for statistics. We calculated the averages, the maximum depth and the minimum depth, and also created a couple of graphs and calculated the p-value, which compares the 2 methods and tells us if the results are similar. The acceptable percent is less than 5. The acceptable value is less than 5%, but in our case it was a little bit more.
Here we can see the motorboat track. This graph shows the trajectory of the motorboat where we went. We were primarily going for the middle of the lake because the water is different there. And for the shoreline, we were going by canoe and kayaks to collect our samples and do the measurements.
This picture shows the topographical view of the bottom of the lake. Also, it displays a visualization of the results of bathymetric lake survey. It is a 2D map of the lake, the topography where the measured point data is being converted into a continuous surface. In the upper left corner of the map, there is a legend for the sample points.
The color interpretation: yellow color, values close to 0, represent the shadow area in the graph, and green to light blue color, values around -1 to -2, represent medium depth area, and dark blue color, values close to -3, represent the deepest area of the lake.
Here we can see the 3D version of the previous image. By looking at this, we can see the graph clearly and more detailed. It's the same as the last one. And here we can see the differences between automatic and manual measurements. The automatic measurement was done on a motorboat, primarily in the middle of the lake, whilst the manual measurement was done by kayaks and canoes around the shore. This graph does not align, and that is why it makes a difference in the measurements.
Okay, so we were taking the measurements of the bathymetry of the lake. We actually also took samples and checked for the salinity levels. And as you can see on the graph, The reddish shades represent the lower salinity levels, whereas the yellow ones show the higher salinity levels. And as you can see around the shoreline, you can see most of the areas are red, and it occurs so because of the presence of plants that change that factor. And as you can also see on the graph, the salinity level of Morava Lake is pretty evenly distributed because it has a lack of tributaries. If we were to continue our research, we would have surely looked into this topic more, and we would check the correlations between salinity and bathymetry, as well as between the salinity and the environmental condition of the insides of the lake.
So in conclusion, we can see that the difference in the results of the graph don't complete. The p-value stands for so the p-value is as you can see, less than 5%. So the value, the p-value exceeds the actual levels of less than 5%. That shows that the different. That's because we took different amount of samples, and because with the kayaks and canoes, we could get closer to the shoreline. In conclusion, there's a significant difference between automatic and the manual method, the results.
Thanks for the attention.
Thank you very much. It's genuinely fascinating. It's very complex.
Jeszcze dwa. 5 minut, wiesz? 5 minut. Teraz czwarta będzie.
Group 4 has been investigating the chemical composition of water and the relationships between its components. They've been uncovering what water is really made of and how those elements interact.
Please welcome workshop group 4.
Okay.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. We are pleased to share with you our presentation about the physical, chemical, and biological water parameters, measurements and assessments of the Lake Morava in Katowice. This is the lake that we are going to talk about.
So, the main scientific question was, are there any significant differences in manual and automatic measurements and measuring pH? Short overview, significant difference between manual and automatic measurements. Second, methods and materials of the devices used. And third, results and calculations, screenshots from coding graphs, Excels, and files. And conclusion of the model.
Yeah, so which devices did we actually use? So there were two manual devices that were used, the sonar and the pH meter. The sonar was held underwater, and then it sent out sound waves to locate the bottom of the lake. Those sound waves then bounced back from the bottom sonar detected them again. Yeah, so we use the sonar to measure the depth of the lake.
Okay, now pH meter can be used to measure the pH of a solution and measures electric potential of hydrogen ions in solution.
You see a picture of us with the hand. As the automatic measuring devices, we used the sonar built into the motorboat, as well as a 20,000 euro multispectral sonar capable of measuring pH and salinity of the water. Salinity is the amount of salt that's in the water. Here you see the sond as well as a pH meter, and this is the motorboat we used.
So now I'm gonna present two graphs. The first graph shows the pH value, and the pH value doesn't vary a lot in the lake because there isn't much water circulation, because there are no rivers flowing out or into the lake, so it's very consistent. And the second graph shows the salinity, and we measured it in order to have a shape of our lake for the results.
So, the difference between normal and automatic measurements. In pH factor, the results between automatic and manual measurements do not significantly differ. This is shown. This shows that the p-value of our measurements is higher than 5%, exactly 6.113. The picture shows two graphs, one for automatic measurement and one for manual measurement, that provide a visual representation of measurement accuracy. If the graphs overlap by more than 5%, there is no significant differences.
On this slide, we can see a table that shows us the difference between automatic and manual measurements. It's on a spectrum from 0 to 100%, and 0% means the lowest results and 100 the highest. It was made by program R442, and it leads us to the most important phase of our statistic, and that's the t-test. The t-test was also made in the program R442, and by passing this test, we can be sure to say that our measurements were correct, and we passed the test as the peak value was higher than 5%, exactly 6.113%. And on this picture, we can see Professor Martin on the left, as he explained us how the measurement tools work, and on the right we can see already us taking the automatic measurements.
To conclude, our primary goal was to validate our automated sensors against manual sampling. As shown on the first slide, the automatic mean pH was 8.51 versus a manual mean of 8.90. The resulting p-value of 0.0611 confirms no statistically significant difference, proving our automated infrastructure is highly reliable.
Moving to second slide, we assess the impact of spacer basing on depth. Although manual measurements were taken significantly deeper than automated surface sensor
pH levels remarkably consistent.
And this shows that the lake water mixes well and has no separate chemical layers in the tested areas. Therefore, we are sure that our sampling location did not affect the pH results.
Finally, in this slide synthesizes these findings. We have verified the data integrity of our automated system. Because the lake exhibits chemical homogeneity, our automated readings accurately represent the entire water body. We can now proceed confidently with automated monitoring.
Thank you all for your attention.
Incredible work, thank you. You've given us a lot to think about.
Ja będę Pani mówić do niego? No. A ja mogę to przeczytać stąd?
Przeczytaj.
Okay, and now, could you please give us a second?
And the special thanks to Professor Maciej Witłowcza and Anna Piekarska-Stachowiak, the University of Silesia, South Water Station at the Morawa Pond Katowice, Spin Place, Center of Creativity and Co-working University of Silesia.
And now our final workshop group. These researchers focused on the impact of humans on animal life, including the protection of forest species and the sustainable use of livestock. Please, you can join us on the stage.
And let's give a big round.
And they've been studying how we interact with animals, for better and sometimes for worse.
So now, let's give them a big round of applause, please.
Dobrze.
Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation about the human impact on animal life, protection of forest species and the sustainable use of farm animals. We were a total of 14 people in our group and over 2 days we learned about different animals and ways to protect these animals. On the first day we went to Leśny Park near Spocianek. To learn about native species.
Stop. Wait. Okay. It's okay.
Okay, so again, on the first day we went to Leśny Park near Spocianek, where we learned about native species, exotic animals, farm animals, and even some invasive species. Now onto the park itself. The park itself is located in Ustronie Beskidzki. It is an open-air wildlife park, and it has educational programs and also bird of prey shows. There are also free deer running around and you can always feed.
We have seen birds of prey and owls in the park. The native species are nocturnal skunk, oral owl, and snowy owl. It's an Arctic species but kept in the park. And Eurasian eagle owl and common buzzard.
In the park, there also were some exotic species like the Sacred falcon, it's from Asia, the Harris hawk from America, the bald eagle from North America, and the steppe eagle from Asia and Africa. Some common mammals are the red deer, the roe deer, the fallow deer, the red fox, and the wild boar.
In Leśny Park Niespodzianek we saw mouflons, European bisons and lynx. Invasive species live in Poland such as raccoons, raccoon dogs and American mink.
Invasive species are introduced by humans outside their natural range. Why are they dangerous? Because they have no natural predators. They spread quickly. They compete with native species for food and habitat. They carry disease and parasites.
Now I'm going to say which animals can be hunted in Poland. Some examples are red deer, fallow deer, wild boar, mouflon, raccoon, and other game species are fox, hare, ducks, and wild geese. And now I'm gonna introduce you to some farm mammals in the park. First one is alpacas, next are Carpathian goats, then Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs, and mules.
Alpacas are used for wool production, animal-assisted therapy, tourism, and educational activities.
Carpathian goats are used for milk production, meat, and mating mounted pastures.
Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs are used as companion animals, tourism attractions, and on educational farms.
Mules are hybrids of a horse and a donkey. They are used for carrying loads, working mountain earth, tourism, and
Okay, on the second day we visit the Capercaille breeding center and Lake Don. We learned about endangered animal species and methods of their protection.
Western capercaillies live in the largest forest in Europe and are a protected species. Male capercaillie have a dark plumage. They are colorful and larger than female capercaillies.
A female capercaille has brown plumage and camouflage colors. A female is smaller than the male.
Capercaillies in Poland can be found in Augustów Forest, Solska Forest, Beskid Mountain, and Lower Silesian Forest.
On this side, we can see the threats and protection of the capercaillie. The biggest threats to these birds are forest destruction and predators. For their protection, people breed them in safe places and then release them back into the wild.
And Lake Town is famous for its emerald green water. we can animals carp and grass snake and dots.
And we can see by the lake town amphibians, common frog, moor frog, common tot, and small newt, and reptiles, grass snakes, and sand lizard.
In the lake town, you can find common carp, pike, perch, roach, and there.
The advantages of fishing are recreation, contact with nature, and fish population management, while the disadvantages are the disturbance of wildlife, the risk of overfishing, and littering.
And for the summary, there are several types of animal protection in Poland. Active protection, which is done by breeding and reintroduction capercaillies. Passive protection, where nesting sites, wolves, lynx, and capercaillies are under strict protection, and some amphibians and reptiles are under partial protection. In situ, for example, European bison in forests, and ex situ, for example, capercaillies breeding center.
In the end, we came to the conclusions that humans can both threaten animals and help protect them. Conservation and sustainable use are essential for preserving biodiversity. Thank you for your attention.
And that concludes our student presentations. And let's give all 5 groups one more round of applause for their incredible work.